transcendental sound vibration. We know when other people are representing the absolute truth properly, because it's pure. So we develop that taste for purity by chanting the pure holy name. And when we chant that pure holy name without offenses, then God immediately manifests on our tongue. And we can taste God, and we can hear God long before we can see God. That's the last thing. So, you want me to show you God? Yeah, I can show you God. Yeah. You have to chant this mantra. Chant this mantra, eat pure food, avoid illicit sex life, avoid intoxication, avoid gambling, avoid meat eating, avoid all these things that are impure. And then you will get a taste for truth. And when you taste the truth, then you'll be able to recognize it in others. It takes one to know it. So people ask me also, they ask, well, how can I recognize a guru? It's like, I don't know the spiritual truth. I need a guru to show me, but how do I recognize who's a bona fide guru and who's faking it? And I tell them, well, it takes one to know it. You have to become pure. And if you become pure, then you can recognize that purity in others. There's no shortcut. You have to do your homework. You have to do your chanting. You have to do your study. You have to do some austerities. Austerity means that we give up something pleasurable for the purpose of attaining a higher goal. Just like if I want to go to college, I have to save my money. I can't spend my money on big cars or a big house or something like that. I have to save my money and use it for tuition. If I want to become a doctor, I have to go to school for what? 12, 15 years, It's a big austerity. I don't want to go to school. I want to go out and have fun. I don't want to study and stay home, like that. But if you really want that goal, if you really want to become a doctor, then you have to do that. It's austerity. You're taking some trouble to attain a higher result. No pain, no gain. That's a very trivial way to say it. But really what we're doing is we're giving up things of the lower nature, or we're restricting our indulgence in the taste of material enjoyment so that we can enjoy a higher taste of spiritual enjoyment. That's austerity. Tapasya in Sanskrit. So our astrology can guide us to the areas where we're weak, to the areas where we tend to fall down into material life. It can see our weak points, it can see our habitual fall downs. And then we can restrict those areas or take additional discipline in those areas so that we become strong. And Saturn's going to make us do this anyway. But if we're aware of the process, we get with the program, we can do it voluntarily. We don't have to be forced to do it. And then again, that goes to our credit. So, before I get into the whole background structure of Vedic astrology, I want to ask if there are any questions on what we've gone over so far. Both here and on the web. Yes, Ben?
When you say pure foods, does that also get into preservatives or anything along that nature?
Yeah, the best thing is organic food, which is raised by people with good consciousness and like that. But the minimum standard that we have is no meat, fish, eggs, no onions and garlic, and that everything is offered to God.
What's wrong with garlic?
Steaks.
Oh.
When somebody's eating onions and garlic, I know when they get within 10 feet, okay? I can smell it. Because your senses become pure after a while, and they become much more sensitive. And there's a certain breath smell that people who eat onions and garlic have. And it's just, it's offensive. Sorry. It's like BO, But the whole body smells bad. I mean, the sweat smells bad and everything when a person eats contaminated foods, because especially like animal products, our digestive system, our colon, is too long to digest animal food. We don't have carnivorous animals' physiology. We have a plant eater's physiology. So the food takes too long to go through the digestive tract, and by the time the animal products get to the colon, they're already in putrefaction. So, you know, we have flatulence, and we have, you know, rotting stuff in our guts. And so naturally, our sweat's going to smell bad, you know, our breath is going to smell bad. And if we're not pure ourselves, how can we recognize purity in others? You know, of course, it does make it a little bit inconvenient sometimes to go around, you know, because like everybody's eating meat. You walk down the street. We went out this morning to the store. As soon as we walk out the door, what do we smell? Bacon and eggs. Somebody's cooking bacon and eggs upwind somewhere. I could smell it instantly. It was like, ooh, you know. But we have to tolerate that to have the sensitivity to experience purity for ourselves and also to recognize it in others. And there's a question on the web. The Buddhas. Hey, slow down, guys. Wait a minute. Whoa! Where's that question? Where did that question go? What about the common argument that I love God? Why should all this diet stuff matter? What matters is that I love God deeply. That's from Neville. Well, if you love God, you don't want to slaughter His creatures. If you love God, you don't want to cause pain to anyone, not even an ant.
Or offend Him.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, again, He created those creatures. They're His property. They're not our property. We can't just take and kill them all. And, I mean, it's horrible. Maybe in an emergency, if we're starving, and that's the only thing we can do is, you know, kill something and eat it. And, yeah, that might be excused, but in our present situation, there's plenty of everything. We don't have any need really for animal food. So, and we find also that when we eat a pure diet, we just feel so good. I mean, my guru always used to say that virtue is its own reward. In other words, we're not being virtuous, we're not being good to get something else in the future. You know, like, oh, if you're a good boy, then Santa Claus will give you a present. You know? No, God isn't Santa Claus. But if we're good, if we live a pure life, then we feel good automatically. I mean, I'm 61 years old and I don't have any major health problems, you know? I feel like a kid. I feel really good, you know? I mean, maybe I have a little extra weight, but that's because of all that prashadam. It's all Neville's fault.
I have a question.
Yes?
I wanted to ask you a question about something you were saying a little bit earlier, about how these things and the stuff around us is not God. But if it is made up of the energy of God and it is God's creation, then how is it that it's not God? I mean, I understand that there's a source, right? There's God as a source, but the energy and creation of God is also God.
It is and it isn't.
So
she's asking if the energy of God or the creation of God is coming from God, then how is it that it's not God? Is that right? Okay. So in one sense, everything is God.
right.
Okay. However, we see that there's the emanating or creating part of God, and then there's the energetic or the emanated part of God. And there's a distinction between them.
Yes. But that doesn't mean that the emanated part is not God.
No, but these, in other words, What you're saying is, if I try to apply Aristotelian materialistic logic to the question, then it is impossible to determine what is and is not God.
I'm just asking the question about the statement that you made.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So in spiritual life, okay, well, let's start with material logic. In material logic, we can have and, you know, like say x and y is true. Or we can have x or y is true. Huh? So either both of them are true or one of them is true. Right? And then there's other things like NAND and OR. These are the two basic kinds of logic in the material world. So these things are mutually exclusive in material logic. They can't both be true. Both these statements cannot be